Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this episode is Carolina. Hi, Carolina.
Hi, Becky.
As soon as I read this book, I believe that I was in your text messages saying, oh my God, you must read this.
Yeah, she was in like our group chat's tech message, like happy bully, like telling us to read this book. And it was like, okay, I don't know that I've ever read a pleasure dom before, and I don't have anything else to read, so let me try it.
New kink
And
unlocked.
I was like, I kind of like this. Well, a lot of it had to do with the characters. I really am getting ahead of myself here, but I really like how the story was written.
Me too. So, on this episode of A Quick Shot of Romance, we are reviewing The Tease by Lauren Blakely. This is book 3 in the Virgin Society series. We'll link the synopsis of this book on our on the shelf show notes at buzzingaboutromance.com. Release date for this is August 30th, 2023. Tropes: NYC, billionaire, masquerade, meet cute, there's kink, he is a pleasure dom, role playing, single dad, and she's a virgin.
I would say workplace and close proximity
Close,
come into play.
yeah.
Did you say that? I'm
I
sorry
did
if you
not. I
did.
didn't say it. No, I didn't say it. Uh, the series is the Virgin Society. It's an interconnected standalone. Put out percentage is 29%. Okay, the audio. Did you do the audio of this?
No, I did not. I read this on the plane. So I ebook.
So the audiobook is Jason Clark and Vanessa Edwin.
I might have to go back and listen to the
When
audiobook.
I tell you that this is everything I wanted and more in an audiobook for these two characters, like Jason Clark in the role of Finn. Oh,
Oh, and
oh.
Vanessa Edwin is great. Okay, I gotta go
Yeah.
back and listen to the audiobook. Shoot.
Is
Thanks a
there
lot, Becky.
you're welcome. Is there a third act breakup? So, no, I don't feel like there is. There's a dark moment, but it's not a full out breakup.
No, because of the setup of their relationship. I would say it's not a third act breakup
Yeah.
because of, yeah.
Yeah. So, content warning on this: there is mention of OCD, thoughts of death, and there is a loss of a sibling. Our heroine, Jules, lost her sibling in a drowning accident.
And I think yes, OCD is part of it, but it's also mental health overall.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mental health conversation,
Um,
but done in a very positive's not the right word, productive way
yeah.
and growth way.
It's done in such a way that it feels real and helpful, and it's not there just so you can put mental health rep on the book.
Right.
So one of the things I want to say real quick is if you had asked me 2 years ago my thoughts on Lauren Blakely and if I liked her books, I would have told you no, not really. She's not for me. Her books are a little too over the top antics, and I struggle with her characters. I do not know what if she has done in the last year and a half, but if she's writing it, I'm reading it and I'm loving it. Like to the point that I am desperate for her next book to come out. Like she's quickly becoming a one-click author for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Yeah, there's definitely a time in her writing where things became a little over the top, like for the for the page and for the antics and some of it like for the flash factor. And this some of it's kind of fun because sometimes you just want the over the top antics, right?
right.
Um, but this is like this writing is what I love about Lauren Blakely because she gets into it's very much a, how she writes these characters. Like these characters came across the page so well and so individually and so personally that it was almost um like these characters were writing the story, not Lauren Blakely.
I mean, they lived on the page. Like they
Mhm.
lived and breathed on the page. And this is also why I'll say, like, let's never discount an author. Let's not, I mean, unless they're being complete jerk faces. You can never say, like, I'll never read that author again. That book sucked. It just might mean that that book wasn't for you at that time. Because for me, this is what happened with Lauren Blakely. 2 years ago, I would have said, not for me. I'm done. I won't read her book. And she sent a message with when she released the RSVP and was like, hey, would you like to read this? And I was like, yeah, okay, I will. Because it had a lot of tropes. And that's the first book in this Virgin Society series. It had a lot of tropes that speak to me. And I gave it a try. And I think I was instantly in your DMs again saying,
Mhm.
Carolina, could you read this?
Mhm.
And each one has just built bigger and bigger. So let's get into Jules and Finn's story because I
So
didn't.
much to talk about.
So in historical romance, meeting at a masquerade is very commonplace. And I love it. Like, I love a masquerade in historical romance. Like, just love it. But I don't get it a ton in contemporary romance.
I don't read historical. I don't think I've read a historical romance. Not that I don't want to, it just doesn't end up like it's not what I grab when I think of like mood reading. Um and this one was really kind of interesting because it has kind of the sex club vibes without being a full-fledged sex club. And in the story, Finn, I think, even describes it as the the meeting, like people with similar interests. So it's not the actual club, it's the like the
It's a prelude in order to make the connections.
connection. Yeah,
It's like
which was
happy hour
really
before you go
interesting.
into the full night. It's pre
And
gaming.
yes, it's pre-gaming for sure. Um, and so you have this party, this exclusive party where you have um like you have to have a special invite, you have to have the passcode to get in. So it definitely has the what's the word? I'm drawing a blank.
Well, it has
Uh
security, it has rules. There is secrecy around this club. Like, it's an
right.
invitation only. Um, and you have.
But the
Go ahead.
oh, but every meeting for this, because they happen regularly, has a different theme to it. So you're having to dress up and play along with all of these different things.
Yeah, and it works really, really well for these two to meet and what happens because, um, and I didn't mention it, but as the story plays out, you realize that Jules and Finn have a connection. And it's
Yes.
Finn is her dad's best friend
Mm-hmm.
and lawyer.
Yeah.
And but so there's a meet cute at a masquerade party. Jules has been desperate. She has a bit of a bucket list, a wish list of things she wants to do, and she knows that her friend often plays the piano for entertainment at these mingling kink parties. And her friend asks her to substitute for her, and it's perfect because it's been on her wish list of something she wanted to do. And part of the overall theme of this Virgin Society is it are these 20 mid 20s 20 young 20 mid 20 something year old women who are still virgins, but not because it's like this protected piece that we can't, harm. It's more about just life and how they've chosen to live their life and now they're ready to shed the yoke of their virginity. I think that's a
Oh my
line from
gosh.
book one. I think that's a line from book
Oh my
one.
God. I
Um,
haven't read book one in this series. I read book two. I think we did a quick shot
we
on
did
book
do a
two.
quick shot.
Um, but I would also say that in Jules' case, she got burned by an ex-boyfriend that he he tried to manipulate her and gaslight her. And Jules keeps these diaries um, that you come to find out are ways that she still communicates with her sister. Like she records what's happened, but after that, like he reads it. And so he tries to manipulate her into having sex. And it really turned her off for a while. She's like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to. And so now she's at this point where she's also interested in,
Well,
but she wants to find somebody she trusts as well.
yeah. She's working with a therapist. She's actively in therapy, working through. She has thoughts of OCD. It's kind of more of a completion OCD and interruptive thoughts OCD. It's a form of OCD. It's not what you would typically think. And she so she's actively in therapy. So she's working through to make herself completely whole. And this is a step for her, trusting a man to connect on such an intimate level.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's part of her desire to go into to this kink party, because part of it is she uses role playing as a way to put herself out there safely. Like she has this whole connection with wearing wigs when she goes out, and it's not so much about hiding her identity, it's changing her perception.
Yeah. I thought that was a really interesting way, um, an interesting character choice. And I really liked that about her, and her friends embraced it because when they go out a few times, they're over at her apartment and she's named all her wigs. And so her friends get into it and she shares the wigs with her friends. And there's like a Lady Gaga wig and a pink wig, and like they're named after, celebrities. And so I think that was interesting. I think the part I also liked, um, and I liked about this book, is these two saw each other in a way that nobody else was able to clearly see them. Like, no, they recognize things about them. And when he meets her, like re-meets her later on in a work setting, he notices that she wears glasses, and they talk about it at one point. She's like, yeah, I wear them from work. Um, Mostly because she says it's because she doesn't want to wear contacts all the time because of her long days in work. And he also recognizes it as a little bit of role play and a little bit of protection for herself in creating that character for her. Um, which I loved that, like it bled into all parts.
Yeah, and it creates this. So, because of the role playing between the two of them and their need for it to kind of set themselves up, and but to also kind of shield their hearts a little bit, it creates this emotional intimacy and connection and chemistry between the two of them because it's a shared kink.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you throw on his pleasure dom, where he is all about her body and her pleasure, and it just made for some super steamy pages.
Mm-hmm. Between the two, it was like, because the first time they meet, she's playing piano, and like you get to a part where she's coming up on break, and they both kind of want to explore stuff during her break, and she just kind of makes a statement, and he jumps on it. He recognizes it as a role-playing opportunity. um and each time they have this really sensual banter back and forth, and teasing and playfulness that I really enjoyed.
One of the things I really liked in this book is so our hero Finn is a dad of a secret baby,
Yes.
but it never created any drama. It was such a different view of a secret baby child. It had nothing to do with the heroine. It had nothing to do with Jules and her as a person, but it plays into why some of the things Finn does. And then because of the setup with his child being a secret baby and all that stuff, and I'll let you read it, the way that they create connections between Jewel and his son felt really real and organic. Like, it wasn't forced. It wasn't any like huge parent moments. It was just little things, like just slowly introducing someone into your life.
Yeah, it had just a natural quality to it. Like, they had this ease for as much as they, yes, it was kind of, it has the forbidden element of it, right? Because it's her dad's friend. And she had met him a few times, but it's her dad's friend in the sense that it's a newer friend in her dad's life. So it's not like she's grown up with him and then all of a sudden they, now it becomes this is how they don't know each other. But it just has this natural ease where the world keeps putting them together unexpectedly, and it allows them to explore the relationship, and gives them those opportunities to learn more about each other. And they naturally do that. They naturally want to learn more and are interested, which made it really just enjoyable to read.
Yeah. And one of the things I'll say about this book is we're working on a episode about love languages coming out after the first of the year. And this is absolutely acts of service and words of praise. Those are the love languages.
And gifts.
And it hits 3 of the 5 love languages in this
know.
book. It was so good. I just really liked this story. And there's a trip to Paris that's this is where work comes into play. And I don't want to spoil that because I feel like that really just builds the momentum of this story.
It does, in a really positive way. The other thing that I really liked, because her journal plays a role in the story, it plays a role in from her ex to now to her relationship with her sister. The way that it's written, like, because you get some journal entries after things happen, so the insider bits to it, was just really, really interesting.
It was.
And it pulls into that, like, you feel part of a secret, like, the secret. There's a playfulness in it, there's a sensuality in it, and there's an intimacy in it that is just, it's beautiful.
It really does help make the whole story and bring all of these little tiny pieces that when you go looking in and you're like, oh my gosh, it has all these reps and all these tropes. How is this going to work? That journal really does help bring things together and tighten up the story.
Mm-hmm. And there's also a girl gang element of this that I really like as well. And you see her growth in the book as she opens up and allows more of herself to share what is happening with the girls. She's tighter, she's closer to Camden, and doesn't want to give so much away because of her past. But as the story progresses, you see how that develops and you see that growth for her.
I would agree. I agree. Is there anything else people should know about the Tease?
Read it.
Just read it. It's part of Kindle Unlimited. Check it out. Listen to the audiobook. It's delightful.
Audio's not in Kindle Unlimited, but
it's not, but it's a $7.49 add-on.
Oh, yes.
I think it's a $7.49 Whisper Sync. It's worth it. Okay, so do you have a book you think we should review for a quick shot of romance? Send us an email to thebees@bookcaseandcoffee.com. Carolina, thank you so much for joining me for this quick shot of romance.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.